Bobcat is back again. Today is Friday, July 26th, 2019. I apologize for my rather large hiatus. I have no real reason. There's a ton of excuses I have, like I was busy, other things have been coming up, but ultimately, I'm sure just as much as anyone else knows, I was just procrastinating. That's the truth of it. And I ain't gonna hide it. Usually I try to have some kind of broader topic that I want to talk about. This time, I'm going to talk about what happened yesterday. So then it would have been July 25th. On my way to work, early in the morning, I had almost died. And usually, when you're in the car and you're driving and you almost get into an accident, I will never blame someone for thinking that they're exaggerating when they say they almost died. But I don't think this time is an exaggeration, at least not for me. I take that back. I'm clearly biased in thinking that it is not an exaggeration. So I'll leave that up for you to decide. In fact, you can put it down in the comments of what you think it might actually be. Real, that I had really almost died, or B, that I'm just exaggerating. You can do it, I know you can. Alright, so what had happened was there is a highway, Highway 20, and there is a certain stretch of the road that is really windy. In that stretch, they're doing a fair amount of road work, and they had, I was at the front of the line in the road work. So, like, you're the very first car, so when the pilot car comes, you're going to be the first one that can speed off into the distance. I was that guy. At this part of the road, since it's a highway, and it's windy, it's only 2 lanes. There's your lane, and then there's the oncoming lane. Right after the pilot car turned off, and the other lane, the oncoming lane, is now full of cars. I'm the very first one, so I get to speed off. However, this is directly going into the windy area. Oh, I should continue describing Highway 20 itself first. On either side of the road, at this specific part of the highway, is either straight downhill or it's a rock face. And you could probably count on one hand the number of times, or the number of areas that you could pull over. Like, bring your car all the way onto the shoulder. And then there's a countless number of areas where you will be lucky to be able to roll down your window and stick your hand fully out and not touch a rock. And I guess if you're not touching a rock, then it's very likely that if you're to go onto the shoulder and you're even a slightest bit not careful, you're going to go down the hill. At least 100 feet. Just quick recap. Cars are bumper to bumper in the other lane because they're stopped in traffic. For traffic control. I'm the very front of this line of cars coming through the construction zone. On both sides of the road, there are very few spots to pull over. It's either a rock face or a drop. And it's only 2 lanes. My lane and the oncoming lane. And we already talked about the oncoming lane. So I come around the corner on this windy part, probably going somewhere between 45 and 65. And there's a semi-truck there, in my lane, coming towards me. As for why he was there, I have a few different ideas. First of which, he didn't know what to do. And he was there on accident. And he was trying to look for an area to turn around. I don't know how believable this one is, but it's a possibility. The second one is, and this is the one that I thoroughly believe, there had been a lot of asphalt trucks laying down the asphalt for the construction, and he was one of the asphalt trucks, and so him thinking, well, there's all this line of cars, and I'm part of the construction, so it's probably okay for me to go in the other lane right now. As he was coming in, I have no idea how fast he was going. Probably somewhere about 45 miles an hour. Slow, but really not that slow. And then there's me. Most likely about 55. Maybe as much as 65, like I said. In a split-second decision, I had seriously considered not pulling out of the way. Obviously I didn't, because I'm still driving the same car, but I really considered not pulling out of the way. And I'll go more into that some other time. Maybe I'll do that after this episode's like about over, and I'll use it to recap. But what I was able to do was throw my hands on the wheel and immediately move to the right side because I saw that there was a shoulder. I saw the little white like road signal things that signifies that this is a turn and it's the edge of the road, and I was lucky that there was the like 6 feet 8 feet of room necessary for me to get my car there. I don't know how I did it, but I didn't hit the truck and I didn't hit the rocks. I was within inches of both. I cannot describe how hard that was. Looking back, if I did have to hit that truck, there's only a few different possibilities that could have happened. All of them included me becoming seriously harmed. I could have went left and hit T-boned the other car to move it onto the shoulder, and then hope the semi-truck would only T-bone me in the rear, so that everyone has the highest likelihood of surviving. I could have just went off the road if that was a possibility, but like I said, it might not have been, because it would have been just a sheer rock, and there is nowhere to go on that. If I did hit the semi-truck, a few different things could have happened. They could have hit me, and then just total recoil, and I start going backwards. But again, this is a turn, so then I just go down the hill. I could have ended up hitting it, and then because I'm smaller, all the force would go into my car, and my car would go upwards. And because it came to like an immediate stop, and hopefully I would just have to hope that my airbag protects my life in that situation. And then the last possibility, and the worst possibility, is that the semi-truck used my car as a ramp. In that situation, had it hit me, I fully believe I would not have had a head anymore. Just total decapitation. I thought maybe I could go to the side, like my passenger seat, and hope that it would just take my arm. Then there's the possibility of me... Sorry, the light. Then there's the possibility of me dropping my seat back, with the little lever, and hoping... Okay, that didn't help. There we go. And again, hoping that it doesn't decapitate me. Those were my options. And 200 feet in either direction, up or down the road, and those would have been my only options. Thankfully, fate would have it that I was able to go onto one of the handful of spots that a car can fully pull over. And I didn't get rear-ended by the cars behind me, and the semi-truck was able to slow down enough. I I can't describe how close of a situation that was and how much luck I needed. Following that, I very slowly got back on the road. No, not very slowly. I got back on the road because I was still going about 35 miles an hour. Because I couldn't just stop. I knew that if I just stopped, I would have kept going and just rolling like any normal car, because you can't just come to a complete stop in a car. That's just not an option. At least not like, and travel 0 feet kind of option. So I had to keep rolling. And so I kept going, and I knew there was a turnoff spot, and I immediately turned off. I was able to pull off to the side of the road in a safe spot, like the only paved spot where they know you're allowed to turn around and park. Well, yeah, mostly park. Like, if cops need to pull someone over, that's like their choice spot. And so, I was having a panic attack. I was freaking out. I almost died. For anyone who has ever had a panic attack, you can imagine how bad it is to do that while driving. And for those of you that have never had a panic attack, one, I hope you never do. They are terrible, and they suck. But to sum it up shortly, your thoughts are racing, you're struggling to breathe, you're crying your eyes out, and a lot of your actions and gestures are being exaggerated. You will flail your arms, you will contract muscles, you will not be able to focus. And so, thank God this was early in the morning, and I was able to call my mom, and she was able to calm me down and so that I could get back on the road. I still had work. I still went to work. Because at the end of the day, no matter how close you came to maybe dying, you didn't die. You didn't get injured. And so you still have a life to live. Whether you like it or bloody not. And so again, I can't describe how lucky I was. I apologize for coming on, or rather, getting back from my long hiatus with such a somber and sad story. There's the light again. I do apologize. I just had to get off my chest. And for those of you who also get into a car every day, just remember, a car is actually a super dangerous thing. You are significantly more likely to die in a car than you are in an airplane, by lightning strike, a shark, or a tornado. And I think you can add all those together and still have lower odds of death. Cars are super unsafe. It's times like this where you really recognize that every day could be your last. And if you truly do want to keep going on with this life, sorry for the blinding light, you should learn how to be able to make split-second decisions, have no regrets, and learn to say goodbye. One day on this podcast, I'll talk about the meaning of the word goodbye to me. To me, it is a word you do not say ever, unless you're under very special circumstances. As you can tell, I'm back in the car. I don't really have another option. Highway 20, sure, it's a little dangerous. Every road is. Should I be like yelling and angrily saying that the construction workers were irresponsible? Sure, they are. But at the end of the day, like, everyone has that impatient day. True, I should be complaining. True, I should look for that guy and like sue him for emotional damage. I don't know. But when I think about it, why should I? It wouldn't make me happy. So why bother? Again, I apologize for the hiatus. I'm going to start diligently working on the videos. I'm going to start diligently working on myself. The best excuse to give yourself to change, to force yourself to change, is recognizing that you have regret and that you came very close to never being able to take those regrets back. Because at the very least, as long as you have a regret and as long as you're alive, you can always do something to redeem them. And thereby, just maybe, forgetting them and forgiving them. Well, with that note, I'm gonna cut the video off here. I'll admit it, this was a terrible welcome back message. But I hope to have your support nonetheless. Like and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Leave a comment if you have something to say. I'll be more than happy to read each and every one. This has been Lapcat. Always remember to say I love you to those that matter. I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.